You're listening to Booked, the bookstore education podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. In this episode, we're featuring Bookstore Systems and Automations, a session that was presented at Children's Institute 2024 in New Orleans.
Welcome to the nerd panel. Bookstore Systems and Automations, where we try to achieve our final form as Janelle Monáe-like arch androids. My name is Hannah Oliver Depp. I'm the co-owner of Loyalty Bookstores in DC and Maryland, and I'm going to be leading this conversation. I think I'm getting a little ringing. How bad is it, y'all? Is it okay? Okay, thank you. I'm going to introduce our panel in just a moment, but some housekeeping. All slide decks and handouts can be found where? On the app, we know, and on the website. Please evaluate your sessions. Oh my God. If you want more of this, less of this, have feelings, thoughts, questions about this, evaluate your sessions. This is the only way we get the programming we want. The ABA staff and the board desperately need that feedback in order to plan these things. So if you are complaining about things and don't fill out your session evaluations, just know. Grandma's very disappointed. This session is being recorded, will be posted on BookWeb and the ABA Bookstores Education podcast, Booked. We will be doing Q&A, so please raise your hand when you want the microphone because this needs to be recorded. Please silence your phones and all electronic devices so the plane can take off. Antitrust guidelines, we can't talk about those things. Let's not get shut down. We cannot discuss pricing or pricing policies. We cannot discuss boycotting rather, and no discussion of dividing up the market. LOL. All right, so let's get into this. You are in Bookstore Systems and Automations. Can we be a Rube Goldberg machine? Probably not, but we can build one out of our boxes. However, we are working to apply if this, then that systems in our stores. We are going to talk about code, no-code automation, examine and re-examine systems that you already have in your store or that are working for our presenters up here. So whether you're talking about Excel, whether you're talking about Basecamp, whether you're talking about something far more simple such as when this is over here, it means in your physical store. These aspects that we're going to talk about will really help systemize your store, saving you valuable time and helping empower your booksellers to improve your store. All right, so as I said, I'm Hannah Oliver Depp. We have Danielle King, Kelly Justice, Mikey LaFave, and we are going to be going down and introducing ourselves and then jumping into the information. We will trying to leave as much time for Q&A as possible because that's always the thing for these kinds of panels. So please bear with us. We're going to save your questions for that portion, but please do take notes because hopefully we'll have a lot of question time. All right. Do y'all mind introducing yourselves and just talking a little bit about size of store and what your role is there?
Sure. My name is Danielle King. I'm the general manager at Left Bank Books in St. Louis. We're about 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. I'm still not entirely sure because I don't know how space works. And I've been a bookseller since 2020, and I got basically the coolest job in the world because I get to do both sell books and also build little systems into my little corner of the universe. It's great.
And how many booksellers do you have?
We have about 17 to 20 usually.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Mikey LaFave. I'm at Avid Bookshop in Athens, Georgia. I also am a nerd but don't know how space works. So I think we're 1,200 square feet, but please don't quote me on that. And we have about 5 full-time folks, including our owner.
Hi, I'm Kelly Justice, and I'm the owner of Fountain Bookstore in Richmond, Virginia. I've been a bookseller since 1989. And we're 1,000 square feet in the heart of downtown Richmond, and we specialize in author events. And I do know exactly how many square feet we are because I'm a math nerd. So yeah.
God bless you.
Yes.
And my main location in Washington, D.C. has about 900 square feet, and our location in Silver Spring, Maryland has about 500 square selling feet, but it's spread throughout a shared communal space with other people. And we have 4 full-time employees and 6 part-time employees. including myself and the other co-owner are the full-time. We did it.
Yeah, we did.
We know where we are.
Yay.
Okay, so why streamline? I don't know why this question is here. We all know why. But I do just want to address that sometimes it can feel like these things are anathema to bookselling. They're not cozy, they're not warm, but also we need to stay afloat. And there is no point in chasing your own tail or reinventing the wheel every single time. If you have a system that is working in some ways, maybe readjusting it will help with growth or with stability. And then I think another really big part of this is if you were in any of the training seminars with the Zing Train, empowering people through clear expectations and clear training tools is one of the ways in which you grow not only your business and your sanity, but your ability to stay open, frankly. And will avoid a lot of problems. So streamlining your systems can also help empower your frontline bookseller. So we're going to, do you guys have any other reasons why you think streamlining is great? Or do we all know why we think streamlining your system is great?
We know why it's great. We absolutely know why it's great. I will say a thing I think of as being particularly important to it is that I really love my job. I really love what I get to do. I got all this damn paperwork, though. And if anything I can do to kind of clear the task list so that I'm a little bit more available for my booksellers, I'm a little bit more available to do the thing I love, is fantastic. Stay connected to the way that you love your job, and some of it is just clearing some crap off your plate with a little system.
Yeah, I think saying not cozy, not warm, but it is a kindness to the people that we staff, to our employees, and to booksellers on the floor, and also to our customers, because a well-run bookstore is a fun bookstore to be in.
And I look at systems as a way to be kind to yourself, but also to the system that I'm talking about can actually help elevate your position in the industry. You can make you more visible, and that can get more events and so forth. And it also makes your booksellers feel like they're part of a larger community and educates them about the whole industry and not just what happens on the floor.
Thank you. Okay. So here are some reasons. And I do just want to say the clarity and transparency ties right into accountability. You can't hold somebody accountable, whether it's yourself or a frontline bookseller, if it's not clear what the expectation is and how to use that system. And I will also say we all have 900,000 different invoices in 900,000 different formats. So there's certain ways in which you can not only reduce your paper waste, but also your brain space waste. Here are some of the ways that you can use systems without a coding background, because I don't have one. Aside from changing LiveJournal and Xanga colors back in 2005, I don't really have much of a coding background.
That's real.
I mean, I was like, I can code. No, I cannot. So obviously you think of things and not maybe even realize their systems automated, like staff scheduling, your inventory system. How are your ARCs organized? Are they organized, or are they a pile of doom? How is your task management communicated? How is your marketing done? How is your event planning done? These are all ways in which these are systems that you might not realize are systems that can be further automated. So we're going to dive into staff scheduling and maintenance with Daniel King.
Yes. I think we're going to start probably with, I think it's the used book templates first.
Oh, excuse me.
No, it's okay. It's fine. If anybody happened to attend, we did a used book panel at Winter Institute, so this might look familiar. But if not, I'm so happy to talk about it because it's my baby. So some sort of quick notes on it. Basically, we've got a used section downstairs, and we had a very analog way of kind of managing it for a number of years. And it was straightforward but not simple. And I thought maybe we could give a little in the straightforward to make it a little bit simpler. And so the template I have is incredibly easy to train folks on. And the gist of it is that they fill out the boxes that are gray on the template. And then you have a ready-to-import PO. We use Booklog, so our template is set up according to those parameters. If you wanted to work with something like this, you would just need to know what the import parameters are. I promise you they will tell you if you can do it. So we basically just create a little text file and it pops in. If you would open that little friend up. Thank you so much. So basically, as I said, any used book buyer, anybody buying used books, like I'm out of town right now, so somebody else is doing it, just fills in the gray boxes. We've got the ISBN, which we scan in because we're not monsters. The title formatted for our POS, the author first and last name, the category code, the price, and the condition, and the binding. That sounds tedious, but if you've worked in an Excel file for any particular thing, that is type, tab, and then in a few minutes, you've got a sucker that's ready to go. I think we do have this template available for folks. This is one that's like sample filled in. It's got a bunch of comments that should make it very helpful to sort of fill out. If you would switch to the PO tab, though.
Love a tab.
Love a tab. So those things from that first screen, that's all here. This is achieved by a thing that I hope is not scary to folks, but don't worry, both Google and Excel have extensive documents on it, a query function. So that middle sheet, the one that says INDX, is holding information about all my categories, and it is holding information on my prices. So basically I have a kind of standardized template for how much we put a book at in our section based on the publisher price. We kind of make it simple. We use standard ISBNs in our POS. We add a U in the front because we have a lot of books in use that are also in new. And my poor receiving manager does not like to print used labels. It makes him furious. But because we've got this system, it comes in ready to be analyzed like any other portion of our inventory. I know a lot of folks who've done used books are very like, oh, no, we do a pencil, we got our little price in the front, and that is a system that works for a lot of folks. It does not work for me or my itchy brain. That makes me crazy, and I haven't used a pencil in 7 years. So what would I use a pencil for? So one of the things I think I like the most about having taken the time to do this is that I can do reporting on my section. I know what sections in used are doing well. I know which ones are not doing well. How dare you? Memoir. But it is really helpful, and I can make really informed decisions. But more than that, I can really empower my part-time used buyer, who is, as I said, covering the command station today. Like, she can do all of the things that I can do because we took some time and made this work. It's worth the time. It's actually a thought I have about this a lot is, oh man, I could make this thing faster, I could make this thing simpler, I could make this more straightforward. Do I have the time to devote to coming up with something that will work? I would very much like to take this opportunity to make the case. You can make the time. If you can save the time, it's worth making the time, if that makes any sense. It's pretty, like I said, pretty straightforward, and I'm pretty sure this template is available for y'all. If not, shoot me an email. I'm happy to send it away. I also will be taking some notes on it, but only some, because I really love it and it's my baby.
It is, as you can see, I'm just demoing on the top. These little comments but from Danielle show you how to use the template should you want to get hold of it and mess with it.
The other thing, and so this might, between the query functions, which if you actually go in and type in a query function, I think if you click in A1, it's totally fair if you want to be like, that looks like gibberish, I don't want to type all that. Again, so first of all, documentation is great, but also there are other ways to, again, simplify those systems that go even gentler than something like this. This is an Excel sheet. We've all had to look at a spreadsheet at some point or another, and some of us loved it. But we can do you one better in terms of sort of simplicity, right? I can go to my next guy.
All right.
Dankeschön. All right, cool. Okay, first of all, I want everybody to know that I spent 17 minutes trying to figure out how to take a Windows screen recording. I hate Windows. I have to use it all the time at work. I do hate it. And I also do RIT. It's literally the bane of my existence. But I did figure it out, and so I want to thank you all for your presence, because it makes it worth a very trying 17 minutes. But schedule sending emails is one of my favorite things in the world to do. Our events coordinator, Shane Mullen, did explain to me that if I keep schedule sending him emails for 8 o'clock in the morning, he will come to my house and hurt me. So I don't do that anymore, but you can schedule send an email in Gmail, and I believe Outlook has this feature as well. A lot of modern email sort of providers have this capacity. Get it out of your head. I'm a big fan of getting it out of your head. I'm a big note taker, and it's not because I'm super organized and super got everything together. It's because I'm a chaotic mess, and the only way to get it all together is to get it out of my head.
Yep.
So when I do schedule send emails, this is me admitting on one way that I'm terrible at email. Like, you email me, I will get back to you.
Someday.
Yeah. Eventually. I'll see it, and I'll feel the guilt of it every moment of my life. So for us, we use QuickBooks for payroll, and in QuickBooks, employees can make slight adjustments to their timesheets. I remind them the week before I run payroll to check their timesheets. Some of this is what we were talking about as far as why you make a system. It's a kind of an equity thing. Like, I would hate for somebody to get underpaid for the work that they do, because again, I have truly the best booksellers in the world. They're astonishing human beings, and I wish I could pay them twice what they get. None of them are in here, right? Nobody's going to hold
It
me
is being
to-
recorded, Danielle, just as a reminder.
That's okay. That's okay. I'll figure something out by then. But I try to send them these reminders on Sunday morning around 11 o'clock. I'm usually at work on Sundays. Just, hey, if you've got any notes for your timesheets, either get them to me or go ahead and fix them. And again, this is kind of a little equity kind of thing we can kind of do in the store just to make sure people are well paid. It takes about a minute to just schedule send an email. And so a thing I do is at the beginning of every year is I schedule send that reminder email for the rest of the year. It takes me 40 to 45 minutes depending on how many times the phone rings and how many times I decide I need more coffee. And then I'm done. I will not make any more of these until next March, because I got a little excited one day.
Shall I?
Yes, please, shall you? So the first thing we do is we've set up an all-staff group in our Google admin space. And so when I hit all staff, it will send the email to everyone. I then pop in a little template that is going to fill out both the subject and the body of the email. Hey, y'all. Give me any notes that you need for your timesheets by this time. I go in, I change the date on the little guy. I have a little table that tells me this date to this date, and then send it on this date. I adjust all of those things. Man, I was chaotically slow doing this.
It's good because you're demoing.
Fair enough. It usually moves faster once you've been doing it a bit. And then I decide this is the day it's going out. I hit schedule send, and I'm done. And as you can see, those are all of the ones I have for the rest of the year. I'm never I don't think about it anymore, but everybody gets an opportunity to get that taken care of. So that one's an easy one, and I promise you, any of you could do that one literally today, if you aren't already.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. All right.
I guess this is me. Okay.
Kelly.
Yay. A little nervous, so I'll get started. So I'm using these slides that I used for another presentation. So if something pops up that's completely unrelated to what we're talking about, that's just because I made a mistake. But it does show that I am reusing a system that I used in the past, right? So I want to cover ARC and reviews management. I think all of us have a place in the store that's just boxes of crap, for ARCs that are in no particular order, and I know I'll get to that one day, and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's chaos, and it's inefficient, and it's not good for your booksellers, and it's not good for you. So here's our little system, and we're going to cover these things today. How to organize your paper reading copies in a digital way, and how to organize your paper ARCs in a physical way, and then gathering reviews, because the more reviews you gather, and on a consistent basis, the more you're going to elevate your store's reputation. If you put them in Edelweiss and stuff, we'll cover that. And managing and scheduling reviews for distribution, and empowering and educating your frontline booksellers. It sounds like a lot, but it's really very simple. So, and it takes about, if we're talking in terms of time, it takes about 1 day to set this up in your store. And I suggest you schedule it. I schedule making systems time for myself. I also schedule research time for myself, and I schedule staring into space and wondering time for myself, because Avon Dominitz taught me that years ago, that you need to schedule in your life, in your working life, time to dream and time to think about, what if we did it, let's throw everything away and turn it upside down, and, just things like that. So anyway, here's how to do your paper advanced reading copies. You're all using Edelweiss, I hope. Who's using Edelweiss in the room? Okay, pretty much everybody, great. So we have a tag system, and you can tag, you can see the 3 tags here, have ARC, have 2 ARCs, and then I decided to take this cute little thing home, so now I have the ARCs. So if somebody else wanted to read it, yeah, if somebody else, they know where it is. So that's it. That's how simple that is. And every ARC that comes in the store, they are not allowed to take it into the back room to store it until it is registered in Edelweiss. Okay, so paper, ARC, management, physical, you shelve it by the month of release, and I separate, this is entirely up to you, but we have a mission at Fountain to promote indie presses because they go through a lot of the same challenges that independent bookstores do with budgeting, and the ARCs cost them more money because they're printing less, and we just want to highlight them. So we have a space for the Big 5 publishers, and we have a space for the indies. This is what the Big 5 one looks like, and of course the day that I went to go take the picture for this presentation, they were in the process of reorganizing the galleys. I'm like, guys, why did it have to be today? This was, but you can see June 1 and 2 on the top shelves, and then July, August, and then everything on top and the bottom has yet to be organized. Everything to the left is damages, giveaways, things that you're going to throw out. And we keep this, the minute the month is over, those galleys are gone, and we give them away at book club events and things like that. So, and it also, when you organize books this way, you start to notice trends. See, there's 2 copies of my cute little book that's at home. But also we have, let's see, the white guy dies first and the blonde dies first. I don't know if you see a trend here, but my booksellers sometimes have fun putting trends together, like, oh, this is a thing, that's happening now, and it gets them to see font trends, what happened, cozy fantasy is like everything now, and that is one of the things that they notice by organizing the galleys. Plus, it's fun. Everybody loves playing with galleys. Okay. This is the independent presses, and there's like all this encouraging stickers saying, please read me, and they're organized by press. This educates your staff into, I know my back office is in a mess. Everybody's is, right? But your staff needs to understand the difference between an independent press and how they're distributed, like are they a distribution client of a Big 5, or what their mission is, and we talk about this a lot at staff meetings. And when they do their staff picks at the end of staff meeting, which are 60 seconds long and no longer, because we can't stay all night, they have to name the imprint and the press and the distribution, and we're working on editors. That's the next thing that we're going to do. Okay, so reviews, gathering reviews, we use a combination of Edelweiss and Airtable. So that's, if you don't know how to review in Edelweiss, that big red arrow is pointing to where you click your review. Click the heart first. I don't know why I decided to start clicking the heart first, but it does there's a reason. I think it puts it up to 10 instead of 9. I don't remember, but anyway, click the heart first, and maybe you'll remember why I've always done it that way, okay? And then you press to put your review in. And this is a wonderful book called Sipsworth. Please read it. It's excellent. Godine Publishers.
It's so good.
Isn't it wonderful? Simon Van Bowie. So this is how you review in Edelweiss. So you've got all these, there's big 10 for Sipsworth. There's my review. And I don't think that you can share with too many people. Just click all the buttons, right? Even if it's not a kid's book, just train your staff to click all the buttons. I don't care. It's somebody else's problem. On the other end, of that. But but you know it's going to get to somebody it belongs to if you do all the buttons. So that's what I train my staff to do. Okay, so we've got this, that my staff understands that reviewing books is part of what, all your staff should have individual Edelweiss accounts, by the way. That's really empowering and really important. The first note they get from an editor or thank you from an author is like the world, you know. If you remember the first time you got one. Mine was on a postcard because I literally wrote into Knopf, and you know, that's how long I've been around. So managing and scheduling reviews for distribution, we use Airtable because it's easy and Google eats things. I've had horrible experiences with Google tools, except for Gmail, which is fine. And the scheduling, the Gmails, nobody needs to know that you were up at 2 o'clock in the morning working, right? So don't look like an insane person that's working at 2 a.m. on, you know, Monday morning, Sunday night, whatever. Schedule that email for like 2 o'clock on Monday afternoon so you don't look like a freak. But learned that one kind of the hard way. So managing and scheduling reviews for distribution. So we use Airtable. I love everything about Airtable. I'm going to give you, and don't panic, this is a very large spreadsheet. I will show you everything that goes into it. This is how we organize our reviews in Airtable. I'm going to give you the template for free. I have a QR code, and you can start. Yours will be blank, and it won't be weird like this. So there's a space for the title, the ISBN, the review, but you were just in Edelweiss, right, making your review, so you just cut and paste it. All the metadata for your title is there for your booksellers and for yourself, and you just take it and put it in this form. And this is the second half of the form, and you can see the little stars are for indie presses, so we make sure we've got enough representation there. That's up to you whether you want to use that or not. It has the bookseller that did it and the venue that it's going to be published in, where to order it, things like that. All of these are things that you can filter by publication, you can filter by bookseller. Let's just say we want to do Andy's favorites today, so we could generate something immediately that just has Andy's picks. Or in this case, we're doing the May-June edition of our newsletter. We need everything that's coming out in May and June. You can sort by fields, and here we've sorted by page number because we're working on getting the pages, what's on page 1, what's on page 2, what's on. It used to take, the old way of doing the newsletters was like, oh my God, the newsletters do. Everybody write reviews right now, you know, and you've forgotten the last 3 books that you've read, and everybody's stressed out, and everybody's completely mad. And they're mad at each other because like somebody else wrote more reviews and it's just silly. So this way, the review, newsletters do. Okay, cool. You know, let's just pick out the page numbers and we're done. I also added the covers because one time we didn't have covers, and all the covers on the cover, in print are completely illegible and gross. Like, so you want snazzy covers on the front of a paper thing. This book review form I put on the Google toolbar, so anytime the bookseller is signed into the store's Google account, either at home or at the bookstore, they just click on the book review form and a thing pops up like this, and they don't have to put all the information in, just the metadata. They don't need to know which publication it's going in. That decision gets made somewhere else. And then they get this sweet little response that says, hey, do it again, you know, and that's how that works. You can also use Edelweiss on our weekly newsletter. You can pick a bookseller and then sort this is Edelweiss 360. So Edelweiss has a newsletter tool within it that is free. I encourage you to use it, even though it's still kind of butt ugly. They need to work on that. It's very bare bones, but it's fast. So, you know, and you don't have to pay anything for it. So that part's great. And let's say it's Tuesday. You need to know what booksellers wrote reviews for Tuesday. You pick a bookseller, sort them by date, and you know this is what we featured last week, right? These are also all great books. So, and And then when they go into the newsletter, they look like this. And you only put in an ISBN. Isn't that great? Yeah, isn't it the best? Yeah. So empowering and educating frontline booksellers, the Edelweiss reviews puts them in direct touch with publishers. Sorting and inputting the ARCs familiarizes them with imprints. Staff meetings, I already said this, but they allow us to share reviews and publisher knowledge in 60 seconds because Kate will go on forever, and we love her, but no. Thank you for listening, and this is the QR code, and review bit.ly. Yeah, all that stuff. You can get it now. You can get it from me later. I have newsletters. I have all these things I had time to make because I wasn't trying to search around for reviews. And for the first two people, don't get too excited. I've got pop sockets for your phones if you want. Please read Sipsworth. It's really good. That's all I got.
Yay! And again, a reminder, all of these slides and therefore the links and whatnot in them are in the app. All right, let's get into Basecamp and project management.
All right. Hi, folks. I'm going to talk to you about Basecamp and some really easy project management. So if everything that was just said feels a lot, this is very, very simple things that you can do that is kind to your booksellers, kind to your staff, and is going to just kind of take some stuff out of your brain that you're thinking about on a daily basis. I'm our operations manager, so there's like 12 million things that I'm thinking about at any given moment. And this is just a way for me to take some of that stuff, put it out of my mind. So the first thing is the what and the why. If I've said Basecamp and you have no idea what I'm talking about, if you could raise your hand. Okay, cool. So Basecamp is just a very awesome project management system. It is paid. We pay for it because it makes our lives so much easier. It's our use for project management and also staff communication. We're a small staff, so having 5 people on a project management system is really not that overwhelming. But I do want to say you can do a lot of this stuff with project management systems that you already have in place. So if you're a Trello store, if you use Slack for a lot of things, you can take a lot of these ideas, put them in place using the things that you already have. And I already kind of talked about this, but a lot of this stuff frees up time and mental energy from remembering like very basic recurring tasks. And it's also facilitating that communication between yourself, if you are off the floor more often than not, and people who are on the floor more often than not. So for me, in my experience, a lot of this has been talking with our buyer, who works off-site a lot of days, but we're able to communicate really well about a bunch of stuff that she needs to know because we have this form of communication and we have places where she knows to look. So the first suggestion I have is start very, very small, start very, very basic. What are those things that you are doing daily, weekly, monthly? Automate that. So you see up here, this is our Basecamp system. It allows us to make some to-dos, and we just have very basic recurring to-dos. So we have weekly, monthly, go through all of the old orders on our pickup shelf, email those customers, bring them to our basement so they don't take up space in our store. Change out the window books, and you'll see Bar Bruno and Condor are the 2 businesses beside us. We have a bar and a chocolate shop. It's really great. But just change out those windows, and you'll see that those are just assigned to people. It pops up every single day. It reminds us to do it. I am assigned to both of them because I am often there, but we can also assign other folks who are on the floor more often. Then we have automated questions that help us with some like major content creation. So these are the 2 big ones that we use the most. You can adjust this for what you're doing in your store, but these are weekly questions that pop up. One for what are you reading, and one that specifically says in all caps for the newsletter. And then it asks what's a book that you've loved lately, and then what's one non-book thing, if you have been playing a video game, watching a movie, etc., that you've loved lately. So these 2 are really crucial for helping folks who might not be in the store or chasing down folks who are all over the place. So what are you reading is really great for our buyer. She sees all of our reviews in one place. She doesn't have to get on Edelweiss to do that. And we usually put stuff there if we really loved it. So she knows to keep those kind of on order for us. And then for the newsletter, I write our newsletter. I got so tired of chasing people down to say like, hey, what book did you like? Hey, what book do you want me to highlight in our newsletter for you? Because you've reviewed like 12 of them in 2 weeks, and I don't know which one you want me to put there. Hey, what's a recipe that you made lately so that I could humanize us in our newsletter? Since this is there, everyone responds to it with a very basic for book. Here is my book. Here is my review. Here is an image of the cover that is high quality for you to use. And then non-book thing, and they write it as if it's going to go directly in the newsletter. So I don't have to edit it for anything. I can just copy and paste. It makes my life a lot easier, and it means that people are constantly thinking about the newsletter as well. Our last thing that Basecamp is really, really helpful for is creating project templates. We really love project templates, just love templates in general. I'm a nerd. But you'll see up here all of our project templates that we have listed. The one that we use the most often is author event. And you'll see that it has like the version number or the version date on it too, because we're like this. They all have a basic naming convention, but then they also have all of the details about an author event from booking, like pre-booking, day of, after the actual event happens. All of that automatically pops up in a project on Basecamp and automatically assigns it to the people that are doing it. So most of it gets assigned to me and to our events director. We can also go in and assign that to other people if we need to. Sometimes it pops up with things that we don't need. Those are easy to just cross off. But this is really helpful to make sure everything for events are getting done.
Okay, so get those questions ready, start thinking, get ready to raise your hand. Wonderful team, please deliver mics if possible. But just, a quick reminder, set it and forget it. Schedule, send, Basecamp, Airtable, formatted spreadsheets, all of the things you've seen are in the app and on BookWeb, so please check them out. And then we've tried these things and they didn't work. If one person does not have absolute commitment to adopting new systems and automation, they won't work. So you do need staff buy-in, and a big thing is it's really important when you're training people on new stuff, either to, if possible, gather them all together and do it all at once so everyone hears the same thing at the same time and has the same examples of how to use it, and it's not being piecemealed together through 16 different conversations. That's a pretty instant way to make sure your new system will work. All right, questions? I know we have one right here and then there. Yeah.
They can also walk.
Oh, yeah. Do our best. Microphone. Alice. Yeah.
Check, check.
Okay, hi y'all. So the staff requests briefly came up, I think, when y'all were talking about newsletter and stuff like that, or like staff reviews. How do each of you track staff stock requests? We have gone through multiple iterations of this, from writing it down to a Google spreadsheet to Ingram list to Edelweiss tags, and none of these things have stuck. What is your poison of choice?
Kelly?
Yeah. I have them create, we use Book Manager, I have them create a PO with a separate PO from like the regular, it's PRA is and then there'll be a key letter after it. And I think it's just whatever key letter you want. I don't care. It's just, put an additional letter on, or just have a special PO for them for requests, and that way when the buyer or the person who sends the orders is going through,
Yeah,
it's there. ready to
I use Ibid, and we each have our own vendor, so I can add it. They each get their own TBO list on my point of sale system. So then when I'm filling up, I need to fill up a Norton order, or I'm too short for my Ingram, SPO order. I grab it, drop it, move it to that vendor right in the thing, and I can just go like, oh, X Christie. We use X and X and Z's for our TV order list, like Z event, right? And I'm just going to then feed those into the correct vendors that I actually order from. But your point of sale system should have a way for you to create dummy POs or dummy TBOs, whatever your language is, so that your staff can add them, and then you don't have to remember to go look at another place to find those requests. We also have one that is set up just for staff picks. We have I know that Book Manager does this too, Ibid does this, but we have like a minimum on hand for things, so anything that's marked in our MS2 category as staff pick is a minimum of one on hand at all times, so that just automatically goes on my order list.
Yeah, I was going to say we also have like a kind of standard staff, I think it is, it's got to be a vendor, and you can just add to the TBO. As it happens, they will also come up to you constantly. Possibly every day, to be like, hey, maybe did you see that thing I put on there? It's like, yeah, we just haven't gotten there
It
yet.
also is a good chance to talk to your staff about cash flow and returns and all the things, and be like, when I'm only ordering from this publisher XYZ. I promise I didn't forget.
But I like the idea of using it as using a TBO, because one of the things to this exact point is, if you really want us to get a book, that does mean you are accepting a certain amount of responsibility, and we're creating a certain amount of accountability to do the work of selling the book.
We use the same thing. We have an Avid restock PO. We can just add anything to it, put our initials in the notes. We also have a spreadsheet where we keep track of reviews for Frontlist, and we do have a little thing on that Google spreadsheet that says, does the buyer have this on order? And we can say yes or no. Our buyer occasionally checks it just to make sure that nothing got forgotten.
I do have a question, but I will say we just started doing what y'all are talking about, and it's been a huge breakthrough. It's helped a lot in keeping track of all that stuff. So one more vote for doing that and having them create their own POs.
Yes.
My question's for everyone, but maybe more specifically to Kelly and Mikey, given what you were just talking about. Where does the editing process come into play for your staff recs?
Okay.
Because as it stands, we've always said they must come to us first. Like, email them to us. We're going to go through the editing process and make sure that it looks good, and then across all platforms, we have something that we're happy with, and we don't have to look at it later and go, oh no, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why didn't we catch that, right? So,
Right.
keep talking
Well,
that. Thank you.
I guess I've been lucky in that I've hired people that can write things.
Step one.
But our biggest issue is that, and this goes to something that Hannah pointed out, is that it really has to be adopted across everyone, and you have to be willing to fire somebody if they're not going to participate. I mean, that you have to be able to, and just it will create discord in your bookstore family if that person doesn't have to write reviews, whatever the task is, but the editing process. So I do have a new bookseller who loves to write and loves it so much that the character, it says 50 to 100 words. It says that in the instructions. I also, in the Google toolbar, I also have a word counter. So, you could try it there first and see if that will tame you down. But in case that doesn't work, which it didn't, when this goes to, when it goes to the person who's creating, the weekly newsletter would be Grace, my lead bookseller, and this goes to Matchbook Marketing, and I pay someone to edit this, so. And lately she's been saying, wow, you got a new, really enthusiastic bookseller. Like, yeah, we're working on that. Yeah.
I'd also say it's definitely worth doing because we do all of ours straight into Edelweiss. It's worth doing. A thing I say to all of our new booksellers is ask your coworkers to read your reviews, and that it becomes not competitive, but it's like, oh, that person wrote a really good one. Well, I feel a lot of responsibility. I wrote this one. Will you take a look at it? And like it becomes a real point of pride for them. Like we have some fantastic shelf talkers, and a big part of it is the collaborative aspect. It also just helps foster the idea of being in a bookseller community.
Just really quickly. Oh, sorry, Kelly. Just really quickly. I once worked at a store where the person who was in charge of the staff picks would said it was for the store voice, but would basically rewrite everyone's staff picks, and it was the most demoralizing thing in the world. It made me not want to write staff picks. And so I will say, copy editing is copy editing, but make sure people feel empowered, and sometimes that store voice can take that from them. So it's a delicate thing, especially if you're doing a legacy store and you've been around for a while. But I would say what goes into Edelweiss probably is a little bit raw than what ends up in our newsletter, because that goes through a copy editing process. But I have just thought that the benefits outweigh the cost of letting them just do directly to Edelweiss, and then that gets put in our staff pick sheet, and we do a little punctuation check before putting it online.
That's punctuation big.
Yeah, the other thing to your point is, I think maybe part of you may have been asking if we're sending it to everybody and the publisher sees something that they don't like. I think that might have been part of your question. We say don't write bad reviews. You are not. That is not part of your job. That is not your job, and your job is only to write good reviews. If you don't like something, shut it.
Yeah.
We've got 5 minutes left, and we have 2 questions that I know of. Right over there, just behind, raise their hand first.
Test. Okay, so kind of more Danielle, but everyone else, please. So I've been a little bit traumatized by QuickBooks Payroll.
Same.
Okay, great.
We can be friends
glad
now.
We're not alone.
No, not at all.
Let's exchange info because
absolutely.
I need support here.
No problem.
Do you have recommendations on how to automate that better, or does anyone else use a different payroll timekeeping software that they are passionate about, or even just not outraged by?
Sure. I will say one of the reasons we ended up coming to be a little bit more reliant upon it is because the staff, we used to do a spreadsheet, and then I had to do it. I was like, we're not doing that. That is not what this is for. They really like it because the time app is just on their phone and people can pop in. It also has ended up kind of creating a certain kind of degree of accountability because I am a sociopath and I have it up all the time, and people will walk in my office and I'll be like, you've been here for 45 minutes and haven't clocked in, right? Please go fix that immediately. So again, just in terms of trying to do things both from a place of empathy and accountability and empowerment for them, that part has been okay, but no, it does suck. It's the worst. The best tip I have is actually just to make sure that, and this is a trust thing, so your mileage may vary, give them the ability to edit the timesheets. It has saved. There were times it has taken me an hour to figure out all of the timesheet stuff, and we are now almost all the time down to 5 minutes. So that is one. Oh God, I can't say a nice thing about Intuit. That is a useful thing about QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm. We really love Homebase, and I think we talked about this over breakfast. I am happy to talk. Oh, do you not like? Oh, no, you don't like Homebase?
I just moved off of Homebase.
Okay, but I've enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
It's scarred them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to talk to you about it.
It's really good for timekeeping.
Yeah, no, it's bad for
scheduling
payment.
and timekeeping are fantastic. The payroll did not work with our cash flow.
Yes. We use two because we use QuickBooks for payroll, Homebase for timekeeping. Yep. I'm happy to talk to you about it. I really like it for our size of store and for our scheduling. It really works for just a couple of full-time people.
Yeah, I think we were just saying that is absolutely a size of store thing, I think. Yeah. We have too many, and they all were like, there's too many colors. I can't figure out how to... It was hilarious. I was like, I tried to give you a pretty thing, and you don't like it. So, yeah. Mileage may vary.
Also,
we color
code
code based off of where people...
Maybe a payroll panel someday. I want to get to
talk.
this question real quick before we run out of time.
Sure.
Great. Thanks so much for taking our questions. My question is more in regards to Basecamp and project management, in regards to how you evaluate, if you were part of that process of you evaluating Basecamp, bringing it brought in, or why does Basecamp work for your store?
That is a great question. I was not part of the evaluation for it because I just started at Avid in 2022. And I know that we have been using it for years prior to that. The knowledge that I do have about that is that the people who were there at the time, it worked with their brains. For a lot of people on our staff especially, we pride ourselves on the fact that a lot of us are neurodiverse. And Slack is a lot of just words at you all the time.
Emojis.
And none of us could really parse it, and we would forget things all the time. So having the ability to put things in projects and also to create those recurring to-dos has been really helpful for all of us.
I will say as a follow-up to that, I was part of our review process for adopting a different project management system, ClickUp, and we are losing too many things we need to not lose. What will hold it and I have not used Basecamp much since its early iterations, but one of the reasons that we use the one we use is because, again, a neurodivergent group of folks, especially myself, and you have to be able to make things visible to people in a couple of different ways, and ClickUp has about 37 possible views for everything you can look at, and that, the project Kanban board is really good for my events manager. The lists are really good for my scheduling manager who also runs our foundation. I look at the calendar because, again, I have admitted this already, I am demented. So,
and there's also, we use Trello. People find that very handy for project management. That's our whole event system is based on that, and it's really effective. And but we don't have any issues with Slack. But we have a very, very lean Slack, and there are a lot of rules about how to not abuse it.
Slack needs boundaries. Thank you all so very much. Thank you very much, Mickey, Kelly, Danielle. Incredible.
Thank you for listening to Booked, the Bookstore Education Podcast brought to you by the American Booksellers Association. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app. Additional educational resources can always be found on the ABA website at www.bookweb.org. Happy reading!